Now they think that it's a game over. Reset button and they hit that quota. The people of the world will get back order.
All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam and Marf, and tonight's show is going to be absolutely packed. We have some breaking news to give you in just a moment here. We're also going to talk about the real-life Squid Game. Of course, that is just living in NK right now. So we'll be right back right after this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
Now they think that it's a game over. Reset button and they hit that quota. The people of the world will get back order. Now they think that we are pushovers. Now they think that it's a game over. Reset button and they hit that quota. The people of the world will get back order.
All right, what is going on? It is Adam A.K. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Tonight we have a ton to go over in a short amount of time, so I'm going to remind everybody new that you can follow along over on marfooglenews.com. In fact, when you go there, not only can you sign up for our email alerts, you can also see all of our sources. So if we show you a picture, a tweet, a video, an archived document, we actually give you access to that on our website. Now, it's all very easy to navigate. Just click on, of course, today's thumbnail, Real Life Squid Game, and then it will bring you to all of our sources here. Now, we want to try to back up as much of this as we can. If I do say something that is a theory or an opinion, I make sure to clarify so. But this way, it lets you know exactly where we're getting this stuff from. Again, you know, we don't get a lot of stuff from the Sun or the Express or some of the tabloids. We actually get it from the approved sources, and the reason why is because I believe that they put a lot out in mainstream media, a lot of stuff that really paints the big picture before it even happens. They end up telling us 99% of what's going to happen beforehand, and it is up to us to analyze this and actually see what is going to happen next. I believe there are some very, very big things happening, and I believe you do as well. Most of you are here because of you have like mind, and you are seeing this, and you are seeing through all of these veils, and you're seeing the crap that is surrounding us. So there's a lot coming if we're to listen to all of this. We're going to talk about Russia. Of course, they're priming their people for another conflict, which, again, we're talking about WW3, if not, at the very least, an invasion of another country, which hasn't happened in a little bit, right? And then, of course, the parade, everything that happened there, that is actually just going way under the radar. I don't know how. Usually that would be like a month-long thing, but whatever. So anyways, if you are on our website, that's all the regular sources. And then if you go down to the yellow bar and farther, that is web-only content. That is basically stuff that is too hot for TV or stuff that is getting marked for deletion. And then on the right side, if you do want to support us or end up using our Amazon link or doing a PayPal during the show or even just getting an affiliate, you can do all of that on the right side. All of those icons lead to our links. And then that way you help the channel at the same time as most of the time getting a discount on whatever product you may be getting. Right now, pretty much everybody is doing a Black Friday, so I'd highly recommend going and checking those out, especially like My Patriot Supply. Our discount usually stacks on a lot of the affiliates' discounts. For instance, EMP Shield, you get $50 off on top of their Black Friday sale. That is only because of our grandfathered in discount. All right, and then let's bring in Dex. Dex is going to be my co-host tonight, / internet brother, / the hostess with the mostest. What is going on, Dex, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Fugle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So we're talking about some pretty serious stuff here. So let's get some of the tamer stuff out of the way first. It says all three men charged in Arbery's not convicted of murder. So kind of the opposite of what happened, on the other big conviction here. It says jurors on Wednesday convicted all three white men charged in the death of Ahmaud Arbery, the black man who was chased and fatally shot while running through their neighborhood in an attack that became part of a larger national reckoning on racial injustice. Now, it says the jury deliberated for about 10 hours before convicting Greg McMichael, son Travis McMichael, and neighbor William Roddy Bryan, who all face minimum sentences of life in prison, which I believe is, when they say life, I think that's, Dex, isn't that 25 years? Or is it
Well,
multiple?
it depends. It's up to the judge on whether or not he'll give them the possibility of parole. And if he has the possibility of parole, then there's reviews that they get at certain time periods where they may or may not be released on parole.
What is crazy about this, no matter how you look at it, and obviously they were, in this case, most likely profiling, right? I wasn't there, so I'm not going to claim to know. But what is crazy is like for people to think that they're doing something right and then end up in prison for life, and knowing that they made this horrendous misjudgment. So if they do truly spend life in prison, I guess what I think is weird though is how uneven some of the sentences are. There are people in prison for life for possession of things. There are people that are in there for 35, 40 years for gun possession, or simply just having something, not using it. And then you have the total opposite end where there are people serving just these crazy sentences for a little bit of stuff. They took the life of a man. So again, all three of them, if they all do get the same sentence, that's pretty huge. This is equally as big a verdict as I think almost as big as the Rittenhouse. This was the same time around this whole event. The reason why these court cases are kind of relatively in the same areas because if you remember, the Kyle thing was because of this event, or this was fresh in people's heads. When that happened is when the whole Kenosha stuff happened. So pretty big deal here. A lot of people following that. I'm sure it's actually probably going to get more coverage now that has happened. And then retailers sound alarm on organized theft as states warn of rise. Organized retail crime costs retailers on average $700,000 per $1 billion in sales every year. According to the National Retail Federation, another industry group, Buy Safe America, estimates that crime results in billions of dollars in lost economic activity each year. It says that retailers and states say that theft is on the rise, although its prevalence is hard to measure on a national scale. California Governor Gavin Newsom said Monday that the level of organized retail theft we are seeing is simply unacceptable. As he boosted police presence in major retail sites, the Illinois Attorney General's office said in September that organized retail crime has increased dramatically over the last 2 years. Well, no duh. First of all, they are like totally going soft on crime, especially theft and any kind of, carjacking and all this kind of stuff that used to carry a heavier sentence. I mean, now you're getting guys that, are in a stolen car with possession of weapons, and then they end up going to jail and getting released and then not even getting sentenced. When they do go to court eventually, or they get sentenced or they get this incredibly low bail. This has been happening for the last 2 years at the same exact time. They have completely, destroyed the economy. So now there's more broke people than ever. And I have seen some crazy stuff. So just at Target, Walmart, and Fred Meyer's in my area, I have seen several just people walk out, and it's almost a daily occurrence. There was 3 days in a row where I saw people walking out with TVs in their cart, and the security guard ended up grabbing something with, they call them spider wraps. They're the black, like, electronic kind of tags that are around it with the big buzzer that goes off. One of the things had that on it, and the only thing they could do is they went like this and they reached in and grabbed the spider wrap and they pulled it out. But they didn't go like this and grab the TV. They just grabbed the thing with the spider wrap on it because it was obviously still on, and that meant that it was like that. And then they didn't follow them out. They get sued if they put their hands on anybody. Even if somebody is legitly stealing a TV, a 60, 70-inch TV, which now they have out, they can't really do anything. I watched as a guy had 3 of them walk right past my car, and there's an employee sitting out there collecting carts, and I go, and he's like, well, can't really do anything. I'm like, okay. The guy's literally walking with a shopping cart full of TVs. So have you seen that? Put it in the chat below. Have you seen people just walking out with whole coats of stuff? I have seen so much, and I don't know if it's because of my state is hit hard specifically. I do know that fentanyl is really, really bad in certain areas here. If you see all of the areas that have the homeless, all of downtown is like one big tent city. It's insane. I've never seen downtown like that. I used to work, Pike Place and different places around 3rd Avenue and 4th Avenue, and I've never seen it like this. Anybody who is from Seattle right now, put down in the chat how crazy downtown is, because it's nuts. There are tents right at the courthouse. I mean, there's parts of the city that, cops don't walk through. I heard that from a police officer. They don't walk through some of these tent cities. It's like the jungle, which used to be on the side of the freeway. Every city has kind of these, our city calls it the jungle, where the cops don't go because it's so violent and so crazy, where there's these kind of off freeway settlements that there's a lot of homeless, there's a lot of drug dealing, there's a lot of, prostitution, all sorts of crazy stuff. And they won't even go. Now, police are saying that they won't even go on main streets like, down in downtown Seattle, that they won't walk through that courthouse kind of driveway there. I just think this is insane. As far as theft, I think most of us have seen it. I'll go over to the regular chat here and see what everybody is saying. A boy shot up a school and released, was on his own reconnaissance the next day, yet 3 men after catching up, and they are headed for prison. So I would definitely recommend you to look at all of the stuff from the court hearing there. But yeah, I get what you're saying. One thing though, so she's saying that a kid actually took a bang bang to school, actually shot up and then got out on his own reconnaissance. That is insane, if that is true. I hope everyone has a good Thanksgiving tomorrow. Jay Rockin'. I'm not to my happy Thanksgivings yet, but I'm going to make sure before we leave to get that out of the way. I hope everybody's going to have a good Thanksgiving. This is biblical. They're changing wrong for right and right for wrong. Joseph Bask. That's a really, really, really pretty accurate comment, and I feel bad saying that. Dex, did you hear that? They're making wrong right and right wrong.
Yeah.
Doesn't it seem like that in a lot of ways?
It certainly does. I mean, it's crazy because it's even happening from the top down through all sorts of political and governmental structures, and even at the local level, we're seeing these types of changes happen, whether it's, bail reform or, defunding this or changing those rules for that. And it's, you sort of go, okay, well, is it making anything better or not? And we're looking at this situation with the crime just going out of control. And it's like, I don't know if the answers were, if they got the answers they really wanted with the changes they put in place.
Another person.
Or maybe they did, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. Inverted Earth said that's biblical. Yeah, it is. Several people said that that's straight in from the Bible. And then Nick Roth says they won't touch theft at all. They won't touch, theft crimes. So this is what is happening. And one thing that it is definitely supporting, and I know people in my extended family that have been hit by this. For instance, I have a friend, his grown son is, I've helped like pick him up and take him to get a shower and things like this. He is homeless, but he is homeless purely because he ended up doing pain pills because of a car accident when he was 18. And then he ended up getting on pain pills. He then got taken off pain pills. His doctors could see he was addicted to them. And then he kind of he went to something else. And that something else was fentanyl. And if you live in a big city, you might not see this out in the rural, and maybe you will. I know that a lot of the rural areas are affected by meth. But fentanyl is this new thing that is 50 times stronger than heroin. And they do the same stuff with it. They I guess bang it, right? I can't say the other word. And this stuff is so crazy that kids are getting involved. There's 12-year-olds. Again, I told you guys, a kid walked up and says, "Hey, do you have any blues?" Blues are these things called fentanyls. And these fentanyls are just absolutely insane. There are probably people in the chat right now that are addicted to it. What I think is really odd, though, is where these fentanyl and they came from. And this does tie into this whole theft thing. I have seen people straight up walk out with this stuff, meet a whole group of people. At one point, they were huddled around the cart, and then there was basically who I believe was the drug dealer giving them stuff and then taking the TV. And it wasn't money. He was giving them bags for the TVs. And I'm like, this is insane. But, this fentanyl stuff is so addictive, and where the hell did it come from? Well, I'll tell you, most of the heroin was coming from Afghanistan, and I think it is no coincidence that now we're pulled out of Afghanistan, that we're completely kind of separated from it. We pulled out, and now all of the heroin is gone. No one gets heroin anymore. They all get this fentanyl, and the fentanyl has caused more deaths than all of these other deaths combined. It has caused more deaths than gun violence and car crashes combined. So when you take that, you have over 100,000 deaths added to just our country's kind of numbers. And then say if you call those deaths something else, you therefore you can kind of see what I'm saying here. It's pretty crazy. Ben Denton says jet fuel can't melt poppy fields. Yeah, right. Fentanyl is from China. That's not a coincidence either, would it be?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest places it's coming from.
Well, yeah, and over 97% of the U.S.'s antibiotics are coming from there. So it's like now the stuff from Afghanistan, our kind of war field where we were taking advantage of all of the stuff there. We pull out of there, all of a sudden there's no more heroin, and now there's a ton of fentanyl. It seems like it was placed. Like in just 2 or 3 years, everyone has switched from heroin to fentanyl. This is like a big deal. Like it's kind of like if you remember when meth started happening, right? All of a sudden, everybody was doing meth. Or when cocaine was invented. I mean, I guess cocaine's been along for a long time, but you guys get what I'm saying. When it got popular and then all of a sudden everybody's doing it, it came from somewhere. It wasn't always popular. So it's just like now this is the new thing, and it seems like it's being placed there. Like it from the very top down, it's being dispersed. As far as the theft that is happening, I know that just here and what I have seen is so insane. I have never seen before CV started people walking out with full shopping carts on multiple occasions. I mean, there was three people in one day. And when you're walking around the store, you can see him filling up the carts. It's like if I was a staff member, I'd go, that person's got like scooters, baby toys, electronics, a TV, this and that. And he, the guy he's clearly covered in mud. I'm like, it's not even profiling. It's like the dude literally smells like a backyard. So you can probably take a guess, right? But they can't do anything. What do you think about this? It's sad too, because these, it's like they're pushing it to happen. Absolutely nuts. And then Best Buy CEO, jump in theft is traumatizing staff. That clearly some crazy words there. And yes, like I said, people are going in and doing it right in front of people like this. This is a security guard, and they're just filming with their phones this guy stealing. It says Best Buy, Corey Berry said theft is a growing problem at the company's stores, and it is implementing added security measures to safeguard employees and shoppers. It says this is traumatizing for our associates and unacceptable. Berry said on a call with analysts on Tuesday, it says we are doing everything we can do to try to create a safe as possible environment. Berry said that the company is implementing a number of tactics to minimize theft and protect staff and customers. For example, Best Buy is locking up more products and hiring security when appropriate. Berry said organized retail crime is on the rise at Best Buy. The tactic involves an organized gang of people who steal entire shelves of high-value products, such as electronics, to resell them for a profit. It says the crime surge is becoming such a problem that it is hitting Best Buy's or BBY's profits and could hurt its ability to retain and attract more employees in a tight labor market. Berry said in an interview Tuesday on CNBC's Squawk on the Street. So I don't know if you've ever watched Squawk on the Street. Dex, have you ever watched Squawk on the Street? It's one of the 5 shows that Mad Money Mike or whatever his name comes on and they talk. Yeah,
I've seen it, but I don't watch it regularly.
Well, just the other day, like Walmart CEO came on there after Walmart's stock tanked, and he said, we're doing fine, we're doing good, and everything's good, and we're not passing down the cost of the containers to you guys, and then the next day they did. But anyways, the same show that he went on and he basically talked about this. And when you're saying that this is going on a rise, it's like it's not going on a rise. It is insane. I mean, you've never seen this before. All over TikTok, all over Twitter, there are videos, thousands of videos of people videotaping people going into makeup stores and literally clearing entire shelves and putting them into bags and then walking out. There's nothing short they can do. See, this wouldn't happen if business owners were allowed to protect their business with a certain item and said, hey, get the F out of my store. You're putting that back. I mean, don't you think that would be, if somebody walks into your establishment, your business, and just starts stealing your stuff, shouldn't you be able to defend that? Like, shouldn't you be able to do something and be like, hey, you're not touching my crap. Put my crap back.
I think some places have that option. Some business owners can choose to do that. I think when you get into the big corporate world of these big, public companies like Best Buy or Target or any of the others, right? They're not going to touch that. They don't want to get near it because they've got deeper pockets when the lawsuits come in. Whether the lawsuits are right or wrong, they still have to be dealt with, right? And they have much more to lose. So you're saying to shy away from that.
So you're saying they would rather lose the billions in insurance money. Well, a lot of it's, I'm sure some of it's covered by insurance, but the stuff that's not covered, they would rather lose that than lose to a $10 million settlement for a wrongful death, right?
Right, because they could hire the most professional armed security guard there, and as soon as one of them, does something like that and takes the life of somebody, that lawsuit is gonna cost them even more, and it'll happen everywhere.
The one near here has a police officer 24/7, or it seems like it. Every time I've walked in there, at the door there is a sheriff or equivalent, a police officer, and a security guard that's armed. So they've got like double duty there, and it still happens.
Our Best Buy gave chase, and I say gave, I think it was the police that gave chase to somebody that was stealing, who then ran through the back, jumped the fence, and the Best Buy is up against the interstate, and the 2 people ran across the interstate. One unfortunately didn't make it, and that became like the worst scene on it you could imagine on an interstate, because it shuts everything down. And unfortunately he lost his life. But then
was it the guy chasing or the guy that was being chased?
No, it was the guy who was stealing.
Oh no.
And I'm sure it was a kid, like, probably a young teen or, late teen or something like that, misguided and following along with everyone else. Like, oh, we can go just, take stuff and run. and then gives chase by the cops, and then jumps the fence, runs across the interstate, and probably gets hit by a handful of vehicles because it was a mess, like from one exit to another.
By the way, we didn't cover it last night. I think we had it in last night's links. But a money truck, an actual money truck, accidentally opened up, or 2 bags of cash dropped out on the freeway. Speaking of closing freeways down, the money flew out. It was real money. At first I thought it was a TikTok prank, because there was people that actually stopped and they were TikTokers, and they're like, "This is insane. There's tons of money everywhere. We're going to Sizzlers." And I think those are the 2 people that got arrested, because they videotaped themselves grabbing the money like dumbasses, and they're like, "We're going to Sizzlers after we go to jail." And everybody stopped on the freeway. It stopped the entire freeway. Once the front line, stopped the entire freeway. Everybody, like crazy people, jumped out and grabbed whatever cash they could. Think about that. People are willing to risk their lives for money. It's just, money is the root of all evil. Like, it is absolute. It is literally, people kill people. People would kill thousands of people for more money.
Yeah, and those people that are doing that, I would reckon most of them, maybe not all, but most of them, if they were sitting beside their neighbor or sitting beside their friend, wouldn't just randomly steal stuff, right? It's probably in their mind to not necessarily steal, and that's a bad thing. But when you see money flying around, you go, "Oh, it's free money," right? And you have to actually, take a moment and realize that when you take that money, it's not yours. It was somebody's that got lost, and it needs to be brought back to this rightful owner, right? And that's technically why those people got arrested, right? It's not, when you find money, you're supposed to try to find who owns it. And I think you can, certain amount of time
yeah,
or
but
whatever,
Dex, come on.
you can turn it in.
If you're walking down the sidewalk and there's money flying down from the top, most people are going to think, "Oh, it's on the street. I can just pick it up."
But that's
the
what I'm
law
saying. Most
is that
people
you
think that.
Aren't you supposed to do something technically, like put up a poster or something and say, yeah, what are you even supposed to do in that case? What if you find a wallet with no ID, it's full of cash? What are you legally supposed to do?
Well, all I know is my daughter, when she found a wallet full of cash, she went chasing down the old man and said, "You dropped your wallet here in the food court," as a little kid. And then the old man got the biggest smile on his face, handing out $20 bills to this little 8-year-old, right? And it made her day and it made his day. But, my point is, people will not necessarily think that, "Oh, it's okay for me to steal from my neighbor or from someone else." But when they see free money like that, they think that that's not stealing. And that's the point I'm trying to make is, you actually have to think about it and realize you can't just take money that's found. Maybe you find $1 laying on the street, you could pick it up and ask around, is this anybody's, or look and see if it's somebody. But if there's money just barreling out of a building or out of an armored vehicle like that, that's bank money.
Yeah. And you could serve some prison time if you're unlucky enough. Well, basically with these theft rings, they're getting worse. It says Barry's comments come on the heels of a string of retail thefts in San Francisco, which we talked about in just the last few days, in which thieves targeted a Louis Vuitton store, a Burberry store, a jewelry store, Bloomingdale's, even Lululemon's. We talked about that the other day. I didn't know what Lululemon's was until yesterday, and my wife schooled me. So
yoga pants.
Yes, apparently, yes, they are the yoga pants. Take a stance.
Expensive yoga pants.
Yeah. The smash and grab incidents are not only on the rise. It's turning into a regular thing. One thing I wonder is, like, are groups of people waiting for any court verdict at this point? Like, "Oh, Dave didn't pay his parking ticket. Let's go smash a store." I don't know. And then thank you, Andrew Golden. Thank you for supporting the show. We are independent, so we really do depend on the Foogle fam. So thank you so much, everybody that supports us. When we cover anything, including all of this, even the stuff that's not on web only, gets us dinged now. Why? Because they want you to find out even your local news, like, "Oh, they put a new speed bump at the mall." They want you to find that out from authoritative sources. So thank you guys for stepping in that place. Thank you for supporting. Amanda Pantano says, "Do you think the epidemic number 1 and small pockets Oh, smallpox. Pan is number 2, like Gilly Bates says. Is it real? I know that the government and the HHS spent $2.8 billion just in the last couple of years. They said that this contract was for stocking up on the smallpox right? So that is scary to me, because he is saying that, and last time before CV, he said, oh, this thing's going to wipe out millions of people. So if he's saying this again, that means at least that we're going to be told it's going to be happening. And most likely we're going to see video or pictures of people with it, and we're all going to be scared as hell. One thing about this one wasn't as scary. It's like a lot of things came out and people were less afraid of it. Think about when you're seeing on TV people just destroyed, their face covered in pustules and things. That's scary. That would be next level fear right there. Amanda Pantano, thank you so much. So yeah, I don't know. I'm preparing as if it is true, because guess what? They always tell us, and they always do these drills beforehand. Now they've done these drills, and we can see clearly that the certain people that are saying things are definitely in the know. Poppies are also grown in Australia for pharma use. True, says that Gen X dude. In Australia, really? Are you sure you don't mean Austria? No, I'm just kidding. Yes, I know what you mean. And yeah, I wonder, if poppies is the main, obviously that's the ingredient for heroin. I wonder why were we getting it from Afghanistan? Why couldn't they, grow it somewhere else? Why was the majority of it coming from there? You'd think that Mexico or somewhere else that was closer would be it. And then Jesse S. says, is the goal to close everything, deliver everything to your home, keep your home with Meta, and then the crime comes to everyone homes? Get prepped all. Jesse S. I don't know, but it seems like, if they're going to replace your jobs, take out all the stores, make no stores even viable to open, then maybe. And then his Queen 711 says, happy early happy Turkey Day to you and your fam. Take the day and focus on enjoying the good in your life and the happy little moments we are all lucky to have nowadays. I will. Thank you, his queen, and I appreciate you, and appreciate the king too, wherever he is. Thank you. And then clock is ticking as U.S. is vulnerable to Chinese electromagnetic attack, experts warn. This is from the Washington Times too, by the way. America's electric grid and other key infrastructure remain vulnerable to electromagnetic pulse EMP attack from China and Korea. It says, or other adversary. And it says that the U.S. is at a pivotal moment if it wants to avoid a potential doomsday scenario, a panel of experts warned on Tuesday. Now, one of the reasons we put this here is because some of our friends who, again, are at EMP Shield were actually speaking at this conference with the Peter Pry, the head of the White House EMP task force. So we were kind of through them directly connected to somebody who was speaking at this. It says, at a major virtual forum hosted by the Universal Peace Federation, specialists warned from the growing threat of an EMP attack that could knock out communications, water and sewer services, transportation systems, retail, and other central components of American society. It says the dangers of EMP attacks have long been understood, but China's shocking test of a new hypersonic glide vehicle last summer has some analysts fearing it could give the nation's leaders a perfect avenue to deploy a high-altitude EMP, offering the chance to defeat the U.S. by sparking a long-lasting blackout, shutting down food and water delivery systems, and crushing military communications and contact with far-flung posts. It says, China already possesses so-called super EMPs, or weapons designed to create bursts of energy much stronger than past versions, according to the analysis of the Task Force on the National and Homeland Security. It says a Congressional Advisory Board. It says combining EMP attacks with other modern unconventional military tactics could be even more devastating. That poses a real threat of possibly being able to win a war with a single blow by means of an EMP attack. Moreover, they don't envision employing an EMP by itself. It would be used in conjunction with cyber attacks and physical sabotage and non-nuclear EMP. That was, of course, a quote from Peter Vincent Pry, the task force executive director, said at a Tuesday's event. It says, which was moderated by the Washington Times Foundation president, Michael Jenkins. It says, quote, this is regarded by Russia, China, and Korea, and I ran to the store, as potentially the most decisive military revolution in history. Mr. Price said that, quote, by attacking the technological Achilles heel of a nation like the United States, you could bring us to our knees and not even have to do battle with the Marines or the Navy or the Air Force, and win a war in 24 hours with a single blow, a combined EMP cyber attack. It says, indeed, American scholars and lawmakers have warned for decades that U.S. infrastructure, especially the electric grid system, is highly vulnerable to EMPs. Huge swaths of infrastructure aren't adequately protected against such an attack. Specialists warned, despite widespread agreement on the importance of the problem and the existence of the technology to solve it. That's the thing. They have the ability. They could say, hey, we need to drop everything. We need to take money from here, and we need to put this on the front burner and get this done immediately. Doesn't matter what the cost. That's what should happen. But somebody else is in charge, or somebody is like, I want to undo all the protections that somebody else just put in. It says President T-Man in 2019 signed an executive order directing a new level of government-wide coordination on combating a potential EMP attack. Recent federal spending bills also have included measures to ramp up EMP defenses, but many specific steps of the yet to be implemented, such as bringing all pieces of the electric grid up to the military's hardening standard so they are able to withstand a major electromagnetic pulse. It says, we do know how to protect against it. It's not a technological problem. It's a political problem, Mr. Price said, citing federal bureaucracy and other factors that make an issue especially complex and difficult. It says there are active protection measures that will ground the pulse as it strikes the electric system of a vehicle. For example, the good news is those technologies are out there. They exist, said David Winks, managing director at AccuSite, a leading cyber physical and electromagnetic resilience firm. I think it would be a good use of some of this infrastructure money to start investing in this. Now, there's actually a highlighted part here. It says there is no need for precision. North Korea doesn't need to have a very good ballistic missile in order to precisely deploy and detonate the weapon, said Plamen Dornev, a professor at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, and chief technology officer at the company EMP Shield. It says Mr. Dornev also warned that unlike a nuclear strike, traditional bombing campaign, or ground invasion, an EMP attack doesn't directly cause any casualties, potentially allowing an enemy to more easily justify the move and make a retaliation a more difficult political decision for the state that is targeted. So again, it says it's bloodless, at least initially. Then goes on to say that an EMP could ultimately kill 90% of Americans. So that's a huge, huge number. One of the points here is, so we have talked about this for a long time. Go ahead,
Adam. Real quick, think about that. If somebody were to lob a missile over the border and hit one of our cities, right? Not even a nuke, just a little one. We would retaliate, right? Or we would do something about it. And if somebody lobbed a nuke at us, we would probably put one back, mutually assured destruction. But if somebody put the lights out, nobody instantly had any problem except for the electricity going out. It's kind of hard to justify doing something harder back to someone else. Like, you could maybe put the lights out over there, but it's also not easy once the ionosphere has been hit in one spot. It takes a long time for it to recharge. So it's a very interesting point he's making about it, making it difficult for us to retaliate when that's, you sort of retaliate in kind, right?
Basically, you would respond with that. And we definitely could, but who knows? We don't know the level of protection that they're already doing. One of the things here, this is Doinoff, the CTO, the Chief Technical Officer at EMP Shield. The reason why, too, we've said this for a long time is we worked with them before they ended up getting the T-Man contracts and everything else. We're kind of a grandfathered in thing. We reached out to them before they were big, before they had all of this big pull, and that's because they had a technology that could do this. We saw a small company that was hand making these things, and we said we need to let people know about this. Like, this is something that can actually protect people. This is potentially going to save lives, and that's why we reached out before all of that. Since then, T-Man, of course, signed that bill, which immediately they ended up calling people from EMP Shield to go there. That's why we've had this as an affiliate for this amount of time. We honestly think that, and we believe in what they do, and we believe, obviously, that they actually mean it. They want to get this into every home in the United States. It should be in every home across the planet. We should have this as a standard, as part of your house. If you make a house, it should have EMP protection like that. Otherwise, we're leaving this door open to a cataclysm that doesn't need to happen. Now, even if you protect your own stuff, maybe the grid doesn't come back on. But as long as you have a generator, or if you have a solar system, or if you have anything else, if it's protected, then you can then turn on all of your other devices that's not fried. So again, I hope that people have listened to us. So the company that we talk to and that is friends with the Fugel fam and even people from EMP Shield watch this show, they're all preppers themselves. They are directly on the stage with the head of the EMP task force, Peter Pry. This is somebody who is in the White House on a daily basis talking about this issue. They put together this congressional board. So we were able to give you information before a lot of other people, because we ended up getting access to Peter Pry's stuff before many. I don't think there was any mainstream coverage when we did our video on it. The threats now are very obvious. So that's why we do this. Like, people are not, most people, you guys are. You see the show every night, so you know about it. But here's where it needs to start going is you need to start telling your family members, not even about us, just about the risk. Tell them that there's EMP, that there's an EMP, that a potential EMP that's going to happen. Explain what it is. Most people do not know what this is. And if they're not in the prepper world, they're not going to know about this. They're not going to know that there's even a way to protect against it. Especially with their cars. If you have friends or family members that have a family of 5, think about it. If this happens in the midday, people are going to be at work. People are going to be over here. If it happens at night, we're really going to be screwed, because it's going to be dark, depending on where it is. If it's 12 at night, all across the country, it's going to be dark. And then all of a sudden, it's going to, nobody is going to have any communication. That is a huge thing. And if we're coming out here, what if they knocked out our power, took Taiwan, took Ukraine, and by the time the lights, by the time they even got any communications, everything would be done. We would have no way to defend against it. So if you guys want to actually deal with the same company that was at this actual event, you can go over and check this out. Again, if you want to go through us, that would be great, because it ends up helping us. But right now, it's their Black Friday sale, so make sure to go check this out. I hope that people end up actually listening. Even if you don't go through us, go through somebody else. If you can't go through us, then end up going through whoever you need to go through, okay? Because this is something that we actually believe in. I think that it's going to screw other people over if we're not all protected. If we were all protected, then it would save other people's lives outside of the circle. Again, go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. You can actually protect yourself, protect your house. They make a version for your car, for your RV, for your solar system, from your ham radio even. Again, they make a version for almost every kind of thing that you want protected. This also protects against the natural kind, a Carrington level event, a solar flare, a CME. Again, this can actually protect you against those as well. Marfooglenews.com/EMP. Right now, they're doing their Black Friday sale. It's already started. So on top of our grandfathered in $50 discount, you will also get their stacking Black Friday sale. The more devices that you get, the more that you get off. I believe it's like 20, 40, 50, and it keeps going up depending on how many you end up getting. So make sure to go over and check that out. You have a few days of that sale. I would highly recommend at least getting your car done if you work away from home. And then Dex, talk about the Pentagon forms a group to examine unexplained aerial sightings, and we're not even to the Ukraine stuff yet. Holy moly.
Wow. So everybody's getting in on the unidentified aliens and phenomenons, right? So I know that's not what the A stands for in UAP, but I thought it was funny. But look, yeah, the Pentagon is now announcing that they're forming their own group. I think we've heard that they had other initiatives, but I guess this is maybe a little bit more formal group that they're building that's going to focus on this type of information and the sensitive information that goes hand in hand with it. We've seen a lot of, attention, especially at the beginning half of this year, towards, this notion of, what are we gonna reveal? What are they going to reveal to us about their information that they actually have around UFOs or UAPs? And, is there really something there that we're not being told about? And is there more to the story? And I think, we'll never get the full truth from our government. They're always going to hide a lot of it just due to security. And I think that's probably, I wish it was more transparent, but I understand why they would do that. But at the same time, I think we all want to know the truth. And I say we, because everybody here is seeking that kind of information or seeking true information. So if they actually have something, we want to know it, but I don't think we'll ever truly find out.
Well, yeah, of course, if any of you have seen something in the sky, then you will probably know. You just have to see one kind of unexplained event for it to really stick out in your mind. I don't know. I've seen at least two that were just so freaky. There's no explanation for. There's no technology on this planet that could do what I saw happen. And there's many just like me. And if you haven't seen it yet, then it's definitely harder to, believe. But you're not going to take somebody else's word for it. Once you see something that's up there, and I don't know what I saw. I could have saw a government vehicle. I could have, of course, saw, some sort of test subject for Boeing. I mean, we live right around Boeing and all these testing facilities, so who knows? Either way, this group on Tuesday night announced a new group to investigate reports of unidentified aerial phenomena in sensitive areas, work that will be overseen by both the military and the intelligence agency. The group will lead an effort to detect, identify, and attribute objects in restricted airspace, as well as mitigate any threats on military flights. So obviously, this is actually happening enough for them to do this. As far as there's restricted airspace and they're having these intrusions on a regular basis to the point where they're putting this together. So something's happening. If it's not aliens, if it's not UFOs, it's China or Russia. And who knows? They very well could be covering that up because of that. And then China's top movie ever is war epic about U.S. defeat. Really? It says, forget James Bond's gadgets, the supercars of Fast and Furious, or Dune, stunning landscapes. When it comes to box office smash hits, China's Communist Party has nailed it this year. It says The Battle at Lake Changjin, a 176-minute epic starring Chinese actor Wu Jing, isn't only the highest-grossing film worldwide so far in 2021, but has become China's biggest film ever, toppling 2017's Wolf Warrior 2, which also stars Wu Wing. It says, according to ticketing platform Mayon Entertainment, the movie was commissioned by the Publicity Department of the Communist Party of China, otherwise known as the Propaganda Department. So, And by the way, they don't actually call it. Basically, it's AK, their propaganda department, the publicity department of the CCP, put this out. Dex, so you're telling me that the CCP obviously is involved in Hollywood a lot. They made their own Chinese film. Again, actually, let me tell what it is. The film tells the story of how People's Volunteer Army, the PVA, troops entered NK and valiantly defeated the Americans mid-last century. Since its September 30th release during China's National Day, it's raked in a hefty $891 million, including pre-sale tickets. So it's basically, it shows them beating us in NK, right?
And they have a part 2 coming out too. So they have a sequel, and it continues the same thing. It's them against America and them winning against America. And so this is sort of the programmed messaging that's going into, the mainstream of China to the population, right?
They're basically saying like, we can kick their ass, and it's pumping up their people. Ah, man. Oh my goodness gracious. Wow. Gone Girl. Holy moly. Dex, I did not see over on D Live. Gone Girl 777 made an appearance or two. Gone Girl just, I think that's 7 or 8 Ninja Guineas. Gone Girl, you didn't have to do that. Thank you so much. Gone Girl says, love you all very much. I'm hanging 4, waiting for 5. Love each other, y'all. Adam and Dex and mods, hats off to y'all. Best channel and group anywhere. And love the Foogle fam strong. Mike from around the world said, coming Ebola, smallpox, and parasite 6 years ago. Didn't, yikes. And then again, yes, throwing all I got until I pass out. Happy Thanksgiving to you all. Make it a day, and thanks to God and family and friends. Got to go. My eyes can't stay open. New meds are working, but man, will make you go to sleep fast. Doctor said I had a total nervous breakdown. Oh, I'm sorry, Gone Girl. So, by the way, a lot of the stuff that's going on, Gone Girl, I hope that you ended up seeing a couple of those. As far as the smallpox and everything else there's obvious stuff that came out. Gone Girl, I know that you watched back when we talked about all of the V's that they bought, the $2.8 billion they put towards it, the Timothy Cunningham situation and how he told his neighbors to delete everything. If you don't know about Timothy Cunningham, go back and look at that. Make sure to do Timothy Cunningham, and then look at what position he was in. This is 3 months before all of this started. What was his position? What did he do when something like this? What was his job? He would fly and then respond to breakouts like this, and then he just conveniently disappeared, and there wasn't an actual replacement. Did you guys all know that there wasn't somebody that could properly replace him to go to respond and fly out to a outbreak? Like, this is like Outbreak the movie, right? He would be the guy who shows up and he's the main star of the movie. Well, since he took his own life by drowning without shoes on, without his keys or his wallet or his dog, and he did that after telling all of his neighbors to delete his phone number, don't tell him you talked to me, basically. He then took his own life. Pretty crazy stuff. And he worked at Atlanta. Cats, dogs, cats. Pretty crazy stuff. So I hope everybody ended up sharing out that video. It's at 67,000 views out of 8 billion people. I think that there's a few more people to warn. By the way, I want to make sure that everybody who is here tonight that wasn't here the other night goes over to that video and shares it out on Facebook, shares it out every place you can. That video is called the most important video we've ever put out. And I believe I believe by the time that we get to the point where we're patting ourselves on the back for being right, we're not going to want to be right, and we're all going to be in a different place. And who knows? We might have a lot of restrictions that might happen here. All right, let's... So, yeah, new movie in China. Not... they're definitely, obviously, putting out the propaganda. And then the Russian public is being primed for another of Putin's wars. It says domestic propagandists and state TV pundits are promoting the idea of an inevitable confrontation with the West as Russia's military posture grows increasingly hostile, causing major concern for its nearest neighbors and NATO. Ukraine remains the crown jewel for the Kremlin, and the Russian public is being primed for the intended absorption of more territories under the umbrella of the Russian Federation. It says, while NATO is being accused of fomenting the potential escalation. It says, and by the way, it says World War III is knocking at our door, warned one top propagandist. It says whether or not the Kremlin is planning to speed up its creeping assault against Ukraine's Donbas region in the near future is a mystery even to the most knowledgeable experts with close access to the Russian President Vladimir Putin. Nonetheless, they eagerly fulfill the Russians' leader's express intent to keep NATO and the West in general in a state of hypervigilance. Ukraine's non-affiliation with NATO remains at the top of the Kremlin's long wish list, basically saying that he wants NATO to stay out, that Ukraine is not a part of NATO. And right now, I don't get why that didn't happen. Remember, Dex, when we talked about how they were asking and begging for a fast track to become part of NATO? If they were part of NATO, then they would immediately get backed up by NATO. Isn't that right?
Yeah, and it seems like we're acting as if they're, or at least we're doing a few things to act as if they're part of NATO. We've entertained their, request for counsel and things like that. So I think there's a process, and NATO didn't necessarily want to fast track that. So I don't know if it was the right decision or the wrong decision. It's just the decision they made. But it's also apparent, though, that they're working, with NATO closely. So it's not a guaranteed, but it's also not like they turned their nose up at him and said, go away.
I just wonder if that makes the difference. I wonder if that makes the difference as far as if they're not affiliated technically, if that's going to speed up the drive for Putin to take Ukraine, right? For him to go in real quick, because if they don't have their paperwork together or something, then they technically can't act. Or if they do act, then it will be a crime against, the World NATO Federation or whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? Does this kind of drive Putin to do it faster, or does it matter? It seems like if they can file articles or Article 3 or Article 4. Yeah, Article 4. Is that what they filed with NATO?
Yeah, I think it was. That's the one that is counsel. It basically asks for consultation from the NATO members. It doesn't ask for instant support. That would be the next level. But when I think it was Turkey or somebody else had asked for an Article 4 like that, they were instantly given, weapons and other things to help them defend themselves. So it wasn't like it's just a phone call. It was like a phone call and, oh yeah, okay, well, we'll start shipping you stuff that you need. But it didn't mean we'll send our own troops in.
So it says the real issue is not that NATO presents an acute threat to the Kremlin, but rather that its involvement stands in the way of Russia swallowing additional Ukrainian territories. Putin's objectives with respect to subverting Ukraine remain the same, with two different paths to getting there: by securing Ukraine's submission and undermining its sovereignty through unwarranted concessions from the West, or by escalating Russia's military aggression. So either way, they want to do it, right? State TV propagandist Dmitry Kiselyov, notorious for boasting that Russia is the only country in the world that is realistically capable of turning United States into radioactive ash. I don't know why he sound Austrian and sorry. But you know what I mean. Explained that Moscow's moves are explicitly designed to affect the U.S. and NATO on his Sunday show, Vest in the Deli. Kesilov said that the Russia tests of its Tusurkan hypersonic cruise missile and its recent anti-satellite test were arguments to reinforce Russia's red lines with respect to Ukraine. So it almost sounds like he's saying this kind of stuff to further kind of push their message of like, stop messing with our red lines, you know. This is kind of their saber rattling. It's kind of their routine saber rattling, kind of. Dex, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to say that they are somebody who kind of puts their chest out and goes, I'm the big man.
Well, certainly, but it's also interesting when you look at the timing, right? And you look at the timing of what China was doing with this movie that's been big this year, and obviously over the last couple of months. And then you look at what Russia is doing with their state TV and this person that's talking, not just what he's saying, but it probably goes hand in hand with lots of other actions and activities that are, basically creating and priming their population to think that this is, an inevitable or something that may happen in the near future. So be ready for it, right? And no different than when, we were told about WMD and look at these little white boxes on a satellite image. That's got to be it. We all got behind it and said, yeah, America, go get them. Right. So,
well, and they don't normally say, so when they're using words like that out of the mouthpiece of Russia, they don't usually then back down because they're too proud. They're too proud of, they don't really go back. It's not like NK. I guess Russia is a little bit worse than, is a little bit better than NK. China is where I worry about there too. Like when they say something, they don't have really a huge record of kind of going back on it. Whereas Kim Jong-un, he says stuff all the time, or he did. For 2 years, he was just nonstop like, I will turn you into radioactive ash. He's saying that, that this would be a really big thing for them to step over the red lines. Basically, they're telling their people that it is that's the part that bothers me, that they're saying it's an inevitability, that this is going to happen. How long can they say that and then not do it? It says blustery proclamations are promptly followed up by the claim that none of the participants are interested in a hot war. So they're saying it, but then they say we don't want to get into conflict. So what are they saying? Like, as long as you let us just take Ukraine, then everybody's good. But
and again, threatening the 32 GPS satellites all at once.
Oh yes. Let me read that part. Hold on. It says by stepping over the red line, NATO risks losing all 32 GPS satellites at once. He said that very specifically, which will blind all of their missiles, planes, and ships, not to mention the ground forces. Americans are paying attention to this. They can't afford not to. So that is weird that Kislyak said that. By stepping over the red line, and that's kind of that's bouncing off of what we were saying the other day, Dex, as far as like they are specifically with that debris event. What was it called? Debris causing event.
Yeah, they basically shot a missile at a satellite and made it go boom, right? And it made a huge mess in space, and they had to move the ISS. They had to get all the astronauts that were in there had to get into the pods as if they were preparing to leave in case they had to leave, because it was kind of a scary event. Imagine that times 32, right? All at once, like 32 of those going off, taking out, not okay. Even if it does take out all of our GPS, right? Imagine the mess that it makes up there for everything else that's up there. Like, it's not just going to be 32. It'll be 32 plus probably another 30 that get affected by all that debris.
Yeah, and it could be more than that. I mean, it could be almost every country could lose all of its satellites. So one thing I don't get, though, is I guess they kind of have a different... I'm going to start off the chat. There is no space. You're free to do your opinions here. And again, mods, be ready to be patient. As far as like the level? Like, if they do screw that up, how do they run their satellites? Do they do it at different altitudes or whatever in the lower atmosphere or whatever you want to call it? So what do you think about this? Let me know in the chat below. I'll head over to the regular chat here in a second. Delaware Sasquatch says you are legally required to turn in money into the police. If the owner does not come forward in an amount of time, it is released to you legally. That actually makes a whole lot of sense. Unless you have, corrupt cops. PZ says leak at Italian nuke plant. Dex, I don't think we have that.
Yeah, it was a carbon dioxide leak that caused a couple people to get sick. It wasn't a nuclear leak. So it was something that happened in the plant that affected some people that were working there.
I guess would there be any weird connections there? Italian. Oh well, I mean, if it's their power plant, right? We've been talking about all the power plants kind of having these issues. MG Toe Forever says, love you, Foogle fam. Nika Talaka, thank you so much for your support tonight. I appreciate you. And then Candace Thompson, thank you as well, says, longtime retail store manager. We budget for shrink, and it is against policy per corporate to do anything about shoplifting other than customer service them to death. Sir, if you're going to steal that, make sure that you get a gift receipt. Goodrich, thank you so much. Bible Talk for Common People. Freedom Seeds for DC Commies. Kaboom. Watering not required. Yeah, well, it's definitely growing. Daughter of the Most High says, in my tribulation dream, I saw a chain of events. Without going into detail, everything was normal until they died. It was an EMP. I saw nukes in the distance. Then chaos broke out. Daughter of the Most High, that is a scary, scary dream. Thank you from Canada. Thank you, Daughter of the Most High. And then Ukraine launches special operation on Belarus border. Holds javelin drills. By the way, thank you. Mama Wolf, release the Quacken. Zippy Moons, so thankful for the Foogle fam, Dex mods. So many people need our prayers. Please pray. And then Divine 1122 and Lisa K. Thank you guys over on DLive. As far as the Belarus, it says Ukraine, which has accused Russia of amassing troops and says Belarus could send migrants over its borders, launched an operation on Wednesday to strengthen its frontier, including military drills for anti-tank and airborne units. It says the Ukrainian State Border Service said that the special operation at the border with Belarus involved troops with the National Guard, police, armed forces, and other reserves. Aviation drones will be also actively used for patrolling and monitoring, the service said in a statement. Ukraine has deployed 8,500 extra troops to its borders with Belarus, saying it fears being drawn into the migrant crisis, which has seen the European Union accuse Minsk of flying in people from the Middle East to push them into entering the neighboring Poland. Belarus denies fomenting the crisis. Kiev also worries that the border with Belarus, a close Russian ally, could be used by Russia to stage a military assault. So put their Russian troops there as part of their kind of three-way attack. The head of Ukraine's military intelligence told the Military Times outlet this weekend that Russia had more than 92,000 troops massed around Ukraine's borders and was preparing for an attack by the end of January or beginning of February. Wow, Dex, did you hear that? So the head of Ukraine's military is saying that Russia is planning for the end of January or beginning of February for this attack.
Right. And that goes hand in hand with what we had reported, I think it was last night too. Someone else was claiming, I think it was some of the intelligence that had come out that was claiming that they were planning the attack for then January.
You realize what that means, right, Dex? That means that China would be lined up for the same on Taiwan.
Oh, yes. I think it's inevitable that we're going to see things happen at multiple places around the world at the same time. That will cause a lot of strife on ourselves from the standpoint of trying to deal with multiple locations. So that will, weaken the strength of the U.S. if we have to deploy to, the Ukraine and Taiwan and maybe something in the Middle East.
Wow. That's big. There's probably a lot of people. I wonder, whoever's watching the replay, I hope you heard that. End of January, beginning of February. I don't know why they would say that for no reason. Their reputations are on the line as well. They also have intelligence. They have spies. They have everything else there too. And they have the information from the U.S. and from the spies in NATO and from everywhere else. So they might be telling us what the actual Russian plans are. Why? That's the head of the Ukrainian military says that they are planning for an attack in early January or beginning of February. So are we, other places in the world, going to see just something on TV somewhere else in the world, all of a sudden the troops took over, kind of like in Crimea? Or is it going to be a little tiny thing where they take a little tiny bit of it, or the territory, or a little bit more of the border, right? I don't know. But that is scary. If they do try to take all of it now, because remember, they have now 92,000 plus troops. Some say 150,000 all over the place. They have mobile hospitals set up. They have artillery. They have everything set up. And they have a huge concentration in 3 different places. So they would do a 3-point attack. And they've been beefing up their whole, all of their inflatable tanks and stuff. Those are used as a distraction in battles. And it really actually, it helped turn the tide of WW2 on our side. Now they're doing it because they know they work. Crazy stuff, Dex.
It certainly is. And, crazy time to live through.
This is in the
we're
next...
going to see it. We're going to see something. You go back, just looking back in history, there's always some major event happening. So we can't not expect something.
This is in the next couple of months. That's insane. Okay. Well, I guess no better time than ever. So if you do want to end up prepping, or if you don't have enough at your home, if you are not ready for a disaster, I think that we have shown you plenty of reasons, actual factual evidence of why things are going down the tube. Most of you already know this. So I assume that most of you in the back of your head are trying to go and get prep. If you do, we have a resource for you. And this, again, is marfooglenews.com/prep. Has pretty much the essentials of life. It has short and long-term survival food, water filtration, air purification, survival gear, cooking gear, tools, power and lighting. They actually have all sorts of actual survival gadgets and survival books. If you've been wanting to get any of those things, including that long shelf survival food, then I would highly recommend going to marfooglenews.com/prep. They have almost everything there. Not only does this help our channel, this also helps you. You end up getting a discount on certain things, end up using our code, and you'll automatically get whatever discount is applied to, say, like a 3-month supply of food is $100 off. So again, remember to go over and use this link, marfooglenews.com/prep. That helps us grow, that helps us expand, and it keeps us going, since we don't get traditional funding in a lot of ways. So thank you so much. Thank you, everybody that helps us by using our links and things. But either way, people need to stock up. And the really important thing right there is water filtration. If you don't have water filtration, even if you have to do some other option, make sure to do so. Make sure to have something. You are really slipping if you do not have water filtration. They have all of the options there. So, and then the NK sentenced. So this was a North Korean sentenced to death after students caught watching Squid Game. So what's even crazier is at first you think, oh, it's just the guy who smuggled this in. So what happened is a gentleman snuck in, smuggled in a copy of the series of Squid Game and put it on USB drives and I believe on, I think on discs and on USB drives. And on these USB drives contained all of the episodes of Squid Game. He was selling these, and it says, a student who bought the drive received a life sentence. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped this part. He sold copies of the Netflix series Squid Game after authorities caught 7 high school students watching the Korean language global hit show, sources in the country told RFA. So after he sold these, they ended up catching 7 high school kids sitting there watching this on a USB drive. And when they got caught, they sung like a bird and said, hey, we got it from this guy. That guy was sentenced to the firing squad. And it's so crazy to think about because, like, Squid Game is this show where they literally show them, like, you know, it basically die in all these horrible ways during a game, including one that was actually, in fact, many scenes in it are people being lined up and pop, 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 like crazy, right? So his death sentence was to be carried out by a firing squad for smuggling Squid Game. Get this, though. The student who bought the drive received a life sentence, while 6 others, so all 7 of these kids are going to prison or jail in NK, while the 6 others who watched the show just for being there and watching it were sentenced to 5 years hard labor. And teachers and school administrators have been fired and face banishment to work in remote mines or themselves, the sources said.
That's pretty harsh, don't you think?
That's insanity. So the one thing that I want to think about is just we are so blessed, no matter where you are watching this, just to be able to watch me or watch anybody. I don't know if this is, I don't think, some people just don't believe anything that people say. I do believe this only because I have talked to actual people from there. I met at least 3 that were all, I guess, refugees, and they said it was absolutely horrible. In fact, the stuff that we don't even media doesn't even talk about is a lot of the RAPE that goes on to the women, just rampant like crazy. You have no power over it. It's not even considered the same thing there. It's just like it's a daily thing, which is, I just think it's crazy. If there's a woman and you do it, nobody talks about it. Like, that's insane to me. If you are a part of the actual government, you can just grab somebody or if you're higher up, you take your pick of who you want and then that's done. Like, there's horrible things that happen there. This is absolutely crazy. So we are so blessed to be here and to be able to watch anything and everything we want. I guess, we are losing so much, but I'm just so thankful for everything I have. And especially this just kind of puts us at, where are we at right now? We're almost to Thanksgiving. It's, supposed to be where you give thanks. I am very thankful that I have you here. I'm very thankful I have Dex. I'm very thankful that I have just a wonderful, amazing group of mods that keep this a peaceful place. I'm very thankful for my wife, my kids. I'm very thankful for everything right now as far as, just that even I have health issues and things, and it seems like there's a path to try to fix that. I'm just very thankful in general. So I love you guys, and I'm very thankful that you guys come every night and watch. If not, if you're a replay watcher, thank you so much. I'm very thankful for you watching on Thanksgiving. Most of you, I bet you will end up watching at some point tomorrow during the holidays, so thank you. Dex, that's just nuts.
Yeah, I mean, it's like real world It's Kim Games, right?
Kim.
That's what it is. Kim
Man,
Games.
You just went there. And this one's very sensitive. This is what I'm saying. They have not, all of a sudden, it's just a couple days ago, and it's gone out of the media. What happened at that thing with the guy driving the car right through all the people just kind of disappeared from mainstream. Some are talking about it still, but not as many as if you had reversed roles here, it would be on for months. It would be used as an example. Instead, it's being kind of just shoved under the rug. It said inside Daryl's chilling lyrics as Waukesha suspect rapped, but cops rule out the motive, right? It says the suspect in the Waukesha that killed 5 people and had rapped about being a and a killer in the city, according to the songs he posted online. Brooks, 39, is facing 5 charges of first-degree intentional homicide and will appear in court on Tuesday afternoon.
It's now 6.
Oh, tell me it wasn't a kid. Was it a kid?
I don't know. I just heard the number had changed to 6. And I also heard that they set the bail at like $5 million, which I'm surprised there was bail, but
that actually seems low. I mean, don't they need like 10% of that? So
I don't know if it's allowed with a surety bond or if it's required full amount. Like when the Kyle thing, they required the full amount.
Wow. Well, because that's I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if anybody would cover that anyways. But $5 million, that would be 500,000 would be 10%, right? Either way, they're not going to give him a $500 bail or something stupid where he needs to pay a bail company $50.
And everyone's saying in chat it was a young boy, 6 or 8 years old. That's what chat's saying. I haven't verified that.
I sure hope that's not. I knew too. I knew when they said that multiple of the children were in critical condition. We said, that's probably going to go up. Hate to be right on that. Remember, Russia severed their internet from the rest of the world. Canadian Wolverine, yes. Trust me. When we looked at the big picture of that, China doing that whole same thing, making it be able to be an intranet, and then of course Russia doing that. Why did they do that? Because I think that they know something eventually is going to happen to the rest of the world's internet, and they're all going to be separate, and they're still going to have communications. People should see that. Like, it's very obvious what happens. Why did Russia sever and separate their internet from the rest of the world? And why did they do it so fast? And why did they do it when they were doing the same things that basically turned into this plan of hypersonic missiles? Remember, Dex, when they separated their internet, it was the first announcement when he came out. It was around the same couple weeks that he said that they tested their hypersonics. I think at that point they were like, wow, we actually have a chance to win.
Yeah, they moved fast, right? They were like, hey, we're going to separate the internet. Oh, by the way, we tested and now we're done, right? Oh, hey, we're going to launch hypersonics. By the way, we tested and now we're done and they're in production. I mean, they're moving really fast. And
we have torpedoes that are nuclear torpedoes that can make a 300-foot wave and wipe out coastlines. That is not good. Obviously, people need to start paying attention. And then new Botswana variant with 32 horrific mutations is the most evolved CV ever. I did not hear about this before yesterday. It's a new Botswana variant with 32 horrific mutations is the most evolved CV ever. As experts warn, it could be worse than Delta. Could be. I think everything would be worse than that one, right? So it says key mutations can escape antibodies, can escape antibodies can escape, speeds up spread, more spike mutations than any other strain. Did anyone see Songbird here? Dex, did you end up watching it? I said it was required homework. What did you think of it?
I thought it was, if ever there's predictive programming, that certainly could be one. And the fact that it was made in the middle of the beginning of CV was kind of interesting too.
And how fast it came out.
How fast?
It was like they had a full budget blockbuster hit done in like the first 6 months of the V. And it was like super accurate. I guess they could have wrote the story and then curtailed it, shot it, and then replaced it with CV23, right? But it says British experts have sounded the alarm over the new CV variant believed to have emerged in Botswana. That is the most mutated version of the virus yet. Only 10 cases of the strain, which could be named new. Are you serious? New. That's original. Have been detected so far, but it has already been spotted in 3 countries, suggesting that it is more widespread. Do you see what's happening here? They're telling you that there's the new one, and then it's going to start, and then boom, within 3 weeks, we have to do something. And then boom, it starts all over. And it's so funny that the White House and everybody is using wording in all of their addresses saying that, as we exit this demic, as we get out of it at the end of this, now they're saying that there's new ones. They're going to say, we thought it was the end, but then wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, more restrictions, more everything. Pretty crazy. And then military will help treat Michigan CV amid surge. We have now shown
another state.
We have now shown you. We have shown you. And I told you, I said, I'll wait for those people that tweeted me and said, nothing. Told you, we're going to show you a state of night, I bet. We've showed you now, I believe 4 in just 4 days have said that they're increasing. The surge is going up, that it's all happening again, right? Well, guess what? They're mentally putting in your head, hey, things are getting bad again. It's all this winter. This is the winter, people. This is the dark winter. The federal government will send 44 military medical personnel to Michigan to help beleaguered hospitals treat this amid a 4th surge that is the worst in the country. It will also open beds at the Veterans Affairs Hospital in Detroit for transfers. Governor Gretchen Whitmer sought the assistance. The 2 teams of 22 physicians, nurses, and respiratory therapists will arrive next week and care for the patients for 30 days at Belmont Hospital in Dearborn and Spectrum Health in Grand Rapids, the state health department said. As of Monday, nearly 4,000 people were hospitalized with this confirmed or suspected cases. 3,700 adults with confirmed infections was more than 90% of the peak from April, a number that had risen by more than 78%. Just watch.
The first sentence of that last paragraph, I'm not going to read it, but it's just the way they combine 2 things to make it sound like a majority.
Yeah, it says 37 was confirmed infection. More than 90% of the peak from April, a number that had risen by more than 78% in a month.
Read the next one. Right now.
Oh, right now, our doctors and nurses are reporting the vast majority of their patients are or not have yet received a B dose, the governor said in a statement. We can all do our part to help reduce on our hospital systems by making an appointment to get a B and continuing to take precautions to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
I mean that whole combining of two statements to then make it a majority is what I was getting at. But
Yeah.
either you're one or you haven't done this other thing, but this other thing is perpetual. So you can always fall into that category, right? Or at least that's what they're starting to say.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're right. So you're or you are, but you haven't gotten this. So you're always going to be in that category because there's always going to be a boo.
Right. So that calls it the vast majority.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God. I didn't even catch it at first. And I knew what I was like not catching it. So the vast majority, so all of these people are or they're completely, but they haven't received the third. Oh my gosh. So that there's no vast majority. That means that it's a complete mix of everybody. Okay. Anyways. And then of course, Mr. F says changing definition of fully to include the bees is on the table. Okay.
Must have been talking to Michigan, right?
Wow. Yeah. So basically, I think that Webster should just be like, hey, can I just kick it for a couple years until you figure this out? Top infectious diseases expert Anthony said changing the definition of what qualifies a person as fully to include a B is on the table. Right now, officially, fully equals 2 of the M or 1 of the J&J. But without a doubt, that could change. Of course it could change. Of course it could change.
But you see how this contradicts what the last statement said from Michigan? Like they said you had to have a B to be counted in the vast majority. And this one doesn't even say you have to have a B to be considered that, right? It's just, it's kind of crazy. And I'm not saying one way or the other on what you guys should do or shouldn't do. That's nothing to do with this. It's just the confusion in the messaging or the play on words that's used either in writers or politicians when they speak.
Yeah, it's not, it doesn't make too much sense. It's very, they're mixed messages. This is like a girl that says like, I like you. Don't call me. I want to marry you, but I don't want to live with you. I never want to see you again. Can you come over tonight? Super confused. If you guys haven't checked out Off Grid, make sure to go do so. If you use the code Marfoogle, you can get a huge discount. I showed you guys my backpack. They were cool enough to send it. It is one of the most badass backpacks ever. It actually has basically multiple EDEC bags built into it, so you can actually protect all of your devices from EMP. Also, it can protect you from being tracked, traced, or in general, just anyone being able to hack into your electronics. If you have all of your work on a laptop, or if you still do remote work from home and you have a laptop that you do your stuff on, and you have valuable information in there, I would highly recommend getting one. Go over to Off Grid. Again, that's marfooglenews.com/offgrid. Not only will you get a discount with the code Marfoogle, but they are going to be most likely be running sales here soon as well, if they are not already. And again, that will help out our channel as well. These are professional bags that were used originally for agencies. In fact, some of the agencies they aren't even allowed to say they work with. Again, for the purpose of basically keeping information secure or evidence secure. So you can get the same kind of thing as a consumer, military grade. Again, basically a Faraday bag for your phone, key fob, for your even for your laptop or even for your tablet. If you get the backpack or the duffel bags, they actually have stuff for all of them. So, again, go over and check it out. Thank you, everybody that has supported already. Dex, do you want to explain the web only?
Absolutely. Head over to marfooglenews.com and click on the thumbnail for today's show. Scroll down to web-only content, as Adam talked about earlier in the show, and you'll find the rest of the story. Everything else we haven't talked about, can't talk about. There's updates there on some of the things we were talking about earlier, whether it's, about the extraordinary bail. I think I mentioned $5 million. There's more details there. You can look up more details about that case and what's happening there. Some interesting stuff with our with the, I want to call them the sofa doctors, or the people that lounge chair. What do you call them? Monday night quarterbacks that sit back. So one of the doctors is now going after the former White House doctor, is talking about the current doctor and what came out in that report, or what didn't come out in that report that we covered a couple nights ago. A lot of more details there. So go check it out. Everything else, either it's two-sided or it's too hot for TV, it's over there on marfooglenews.com under web-only content. And if you're on YouTube, just open the description, click the link right there. First link. It's real easy to get to.
Well, thank you again, Dex. Thank you for your service. I do want to say a very big special thank you to Canadian Wolverine. Remember, Russia severed their internet. Thank you again. Delaware Sasquatch, Goodrich, Bible Talk for Common People, PZ, Daughter of the Most High, Gone Girl 777. Thank you so much. Jack Tronics, happy Turkey Day to all the Foogle fam. Divine 1122, it's an amazing time to be alive. I love how you always do that. Super positive message. And then Lisa K23, those weird trumpet noises are back too in Quebec. We'll be covering that on the next show. I definitely did not know that, and I want to look it up. Anytime they do the trumpet sounds, I absolutely love. If you have videos to show, by the way, if any of you get something like the trumpet sounds in the sky, or anything crazy, or road rage caught on tape, send it to us. You can also go to marfooglenews.com at the top and go to play my video. Then you can submit your video, and we will show it here on the show. Thank you, Divine 1122, Zippy Moons, everybody else over there. Pass McQuad, thank you. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. It's where I say thank you to the people that matter most. You.
Now they think that we are pushovers. Now they think that it's a game over. Reset button and they hit that quota. The people of the world will get back order. Now they think that we are pushovers. Now they think that it's a game over. Reset button and they hit that quota. The people of the world will get back order. Now they think that we are pushovers. Now they think that it's a game over. Reset button and they hit that quota. The people of the world will get back order. Now they think that we are pushovers. Now they think that it's a game over. Reset button and they hit that quota. The people of the world will get back order. Now they think that we are pushovers. Now we all see that they don't care about our well-being or our welfare. Now we all see that they don't care about our well-being or our welfare. Now we all see that they don't care about our well-being or our welfare. Now we all see that they don't care about our well-being or our welfare. Reset button and they hit that quota. The people of the world will get back order, 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 order. Now they think that we are pushovers, we are pushovers, we are pushovers. The people of the world will get back order, 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 the people of the world will get back order. Now they think that we are pushovers. Now they think that it's a game over, 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 over. It's a game over. It's a game over. It's a game over. It's a game over. It's over.
Private tough for common people, good red, Delaware, Sasquatch, PZ, MG, toe forever, nicotine, like Candice Thompson, his Queen 711, that Gen X dude, I'm in the Pentagon, Andrew Golden, and Debbie in Italy.
Now they think that we are pushovers. Now they think that it's a game over. Reset button and they hit that quota. The people of the world will get back order. Now they think that we are pushovers. Now they think that it's, think that it's, get back order. Now they think that we are pushovers. I got the Jesse S on that background, that Gen X dude on the background, and Andrew on Golden, Debbie in Italy. Sipping pony in the Delaware Sasquatch, Louis Lopez Gonzalez, and a J.R. Pale Horse in the Kimberley. Gather Hope on the Robbie on the Fox, hey. Hold down with the Karen on the Lime Good. Rhonda Sweeney and the Mrs. Hood. Hot Carissa McGuire, ooh. That they don't care about our well-being or our welfare. Now we all sing that they don't care about our well-being or our welfare. Now we all sing that they don't care about our well-being or our welfare. Gonna go 777, gonna go 777. Gonna go 777 on down the bay. Gonna go 777 on get away. Gonna go 777. Gonna go 777 on the bay. Gonna go 777 all day. 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 Gonna go 777 happy happy. Gonna go 777 all day. Happy happy. Gonna go 777 happy happy. Gonna go 777 happy happy happy. Gonna go 777 happy happy. I said gonna go 777 on no figure home. I'm doing figure on biggie mom baby yo. Gonna go 777 on no figure home. I'm doing figure on biggie mom baby yo. Happy happy 777 on no figure home. Holiday figure on biggie mom baby yo. Happy happy 777 on no figure home. Holiday.